Hello everyone! Welcome to my live stream, take 2. Hopefully you can hear me now. I can definitely see the little equalizer bar thing moving now on OBS. So, since I stopped my stream and restarted, it's working now. Thank you! Thank you for tuning in and helping me tell. I would have done the whole stream in silence without noticing. Okay, take 2. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Take it from the top. I have to think about it. It's hard. I already said everything. Okay. Welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Hutchins. And happy 2025. This is the first art stream of the year. Our charity of the month is Veganuary. January is Veganuary, the month-long vegan eating challenge. So we're going to help them help the animals. Vegan eating helps the animals because for every day you eat vegan, you save one animal about. So you can help me help them help the animals in a few ways. First, you can donate to our fundraiser. £10, 10 British pounds is our goal. You can also just watch my stream and bring your friends because I'll be making my own donation at the end of the month based on my unique viewers count. Or you can donate more directly by visiting their website. I have put a link in my Twitch description, and also when this is uploaded to YouTube, it will be in the YouTube description as well. So it's Wednesday. I was so excited and the mic was not connected for some reason. It just randomly doesn't connect even though I don't unplug it or anything and it's right there ready to go. Anyway, it's illustration time, and I am going to be going back to my Magical Creatures illustration series for one piece because I want to get something done before the end of January so that I can send it to my patrons so that they can have a brand new fresh illustration for January because the project I was working on in December is going to take longer than another few weeks. This should only take a few days. So what I've been working on with the Maginaturalist Sketchbook series, that's what I'm calling it, is taking my Element Encyclopedia of Magical Creatures, going through A to Z, taking the first entry, because this is the first round doing this. I intend to keep going through from A to Z, A to Z, A to Z, and illustrating the creature described under that letter. So last time we finished Aya, so that was E. And I'm super excited because I've already looked at it because I thought that my stream was working. I've already looked at it, but I'm super excited about F's number 1 entry because it is completely relevant to something I just finished reading. So I'm going to tell you all about it, even though I already said it and disappeared into the other. Fafnir from Norse legend. I just finished reading J.R.R. Tolkien's posthumously published The Legend of Sigurd and Gudrun. And I'm probably mispronouncing a lot of the names because my specialty is not Norse languages or Old Norse or anything. But this whole story, I just finished reading J.R.R. Tolkien's version of it. At least the part related to Fafnir, which is at the beginning of his version. So, this is super exciting because this is almost gonna be like just fan art for me. I'm just gonna be making fan art of the beginning of the J.R.R. Tolkien story that I just finished. So, what I had been doing when Teshump helpfully chimed in and let me know my mic wasn't working is reading this out loud. And then I'm gonna get my sketchbook to take notes and read it again, but really closely to pull the visual stuff out of it. But let's just read the whole story all together without thinking too hard about visual elements. So, this entry for Fafnir says, one of the great dragons of Norse and Teutonic mythology. Originally Fafnir, whose name means the embracer, was one of 3 sons born to the dwarf Hreidmar, the others being Otr and Regin. According to Norse myth, the trickster god Loki mistook Otr for a real otter and accidentally killed him, for which Hreidmar demanded blood money. Loki promised to fill an otter's pelt with gold. However, amongst the treasure he hid a ring that brought its owner not only wealth, but also eternal misfortune, which the J.R.R. Tolkien version of this legend, and pretty much all the versions of this legend, yeah, that's the whole story. The whole story is completely misfortune. There's nothing happy in it whatsoever. So from the moment the dwarf received the gift, he also received the curse. Fafnir fell under the spell and craved the gold so greatly that he conspired with his surviving brother Regin to steal it. But in the process, they killed their father. Fafnir did not wish to share the treasure, even with his brother, and he fled to Gretahyde, where he lay down on the hoard and changed into the most hideous, wingless dragon or worm. Meanwhile, Regin approached the mortal hero Sigurd and bribed him to kill Fafnir. Having slain the creature, Sigurd cut out its tongue and cooked it over a fire. In the process, some of the dragon's blood got onto his hand, which he then licked. The blood gave him the understanding of all languages, including those of animals and birds. And that's something I really love about this legend. Ancient, like thousands of years old or something, and they are recognizing that animals have languages, even way back then. So, because scientifically, we finally figured out how to tell if other animals have languages, and it's like animal after animal, we humans are figuring out how to understand their, not speak with them, but recognize, oh, this pattern means it's a language. Anyway, I think it's super cool that centuries and centuries ago, the people were already recognizing that in a story like this. Okay, by this means, he learnt that Regin, who had now fallen victim of the curse of the ring, meant to kill him. Sigurd lay in wait for the dwarf and slew him instead, keeping the gold for himself. He was to get no good from it, however, and he ended his life tragically. The composer Richard Wagner, 1813 to 83, based his ring cycle on ancient northern myths and renamed Sigurd as Siegfried. Well, I wouldn't call it renamed. So if you're interested in this kind of history, I really recommend that book. It's the main story is written by J.R.R. Tolkien, but the editor is his son Christopher Tolkien, and there's all this information about the difference between the German version of this story, Norse version of this story, elements that made it into Old English stories. There's even like a passage that's exactly the same that's in Beowulf, but also in this Edda. It's called the Edda. So anyway, yeah, super interesting. So if you like this kind of thing, I recommend that J.R.R. Tolkien book. It's called The Legend of Sigurd and Gudrun. So he's not renamed Siegfried. That's just the German version. Sigurd is the Norse version. It's a lot more complicated than that, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm super excited about this because I did not realize that this would be the entry. I basically get to do fan art for my first illustration of the year. So I decided that I will use this Strathmore Bristol paper because I ran out of my favorite sketchbook, and in order to save money, I did not want to buy another sketchbook when I have so many other random sketchbooks in my, we'll call it a hoard, in my hoard of art paper. So I am going to use this for, you know what, I think it would be great. I'll use this for note-taking, as I usually do with my sketchbooks, but I will also use it for the sketch, and then I can put the, well, I don't know, this paper doesn't come out. Maybe I can't do that. I thought I'd use it for the sketch, and then I could use my little tracing pad to put under it, but actually that'll be hard. Well, I'll just use it for sketching of dragons, but not for the final sketch. I'll still do that on the Bristol. Okay. Oh, this is my bee onomatopoeia brainstormings. This is from last time. Okay. So first thing, I'll put this ribbon in the back. First thing is move this, and let's start taking notes. My little My sketch kit is getting super full. I keep adding stuff to it. Alright, this is my note-taking pen. It's not an art pen, it's just a regular writing pen. It's got 3 different colors of ink in it, which is handy if you want to take notes on your notes. So, I will date this. I love to do that so that when I look back, 15 January 2025. When I look back, I can know around what time I was working on this piece. Okay, well, we'll call this Maginaturalist Sketchbook. I'll move this little camera so it's looking at my sketch instead of... Let's see, I'm going to turn the exposure up on this a bit. I think that's better. Yes. There. Now the little camera can have a better view. There's not room. I can't push my book up any further. Does this come down? Oh, haha. I can bring this down. Hooray. Okay. Maginaturalist Sketchbook, and then this is Fafnir. So cool. I just finished, like, literally 2 days ago. Because yesterday I started a new book. The day before I finished the book that the whole story starts with what I just read from this. So now we're going to take note of the visual elements of this story that we've just read here. So for one, dragon. And Norse dragon. The Embracer. That's something it did not, that I remember, bring up in the book I just finished. It did bring up that Otter, O-T-R, the first son that got killed. So it says, the trickster god Loki mistook Otter for a real otter. The reason why is because Otter had the ability to turn into an otter. So that's why he looked like a real otter, because he looked like a real otter. So, and his name just means otter. Otter means otter. But it's interesting. I don't remember Fafnir being his name being described. The meaning behind it. Okay, so trying to get to a big part of this does not actually. Okay, Fafnir fell under the spell of the gold. Gold sickness, we'll call it. From The Hobbit. Loves gold. Laid down on the hoard. Laid on gold hoard. That's a visual. That's a strong visual. Changed the hideous wingless dragon. Worm. A worm. It just says worm like the animal worm. I like it when it's spelled with an R. I mean an R. When it's spelled with a Y. I was writing the letter R when I said that. When it's spelled with a Y, to make it different from the animal. From the real animal. Okay. Although, I learned that there is an actual historical kingdom called Worms. And it's spelled like the animal with an S on the end. It was part of the... How can I explain it? It's from the book I just finished. There was this historical kingdom of worms, and it was destroyed, and some of that real-world history is supposed to be part of the legend, that Norse legend that I was, like, it becomes conflated, and you don't know which is actual history or which is just the fantasy of a good story or something like that. I don't think it's named Worms because of the animal. I think it's just a coincidence. Yeah, and this is more Sigurd's story. But if the blood of Fafnir could give anyone who eats it the power to understand all languages, including animals and birds, then maybe Fafnir understood animal and bird language. I mean, birds are animals, but what the heck? Understood animal language. We'll just presume that. And then this is just Sigurd's story. So the part that actually has a Fafnir in it is only like the middle part. The rest is just introducing the story and telling what happens afterward. So it's not actually that much, but that's alright because it's super. We can just keep it simple. It's so cool that this directly ties into the thing I finished 2 days ago. Alright. Hideous wingless dragon. It's gotta be hideous. Hideous. Okay. There's actually not that much visual description about him in that whole long passage. A huge long passage. But not very much that actually has to do with what he looks like. He's a wingless dragon. He's hideous. He used to be a dwarf, but... Ooh, so interesting. Another thing I learned from that. Ah, come on, camera. Wake up. Wake up, camera. Thank you. Another thing I learned from that book is that J.R.R. Tolkien, if I'm remembering correctly, supposed that dark elves in Norse mythology and dwarves were originally the same, like, mythical, magical creature. So you could also perhaps consider Fafnir was originally a dark elf. It says dwarf, but it could be. The point was that they lived in the darkness, they lived underground, they had all these similar characteristics, but over time they slowly became separate entities depending on the culture you were looking at. So we got gold, a hideous wingless dragon laid on a gold hoard. I mean, we don't have to draw him as a dragon, but come on, that's the cool part. That's the cool part everybody wants to see. I do like this, though. I feel like this makes it interesting. This could help. What I mean by this is my final note here saying understood animal language. That could help make it different from the otherwise stereotypical these days image of a dragon guarding its hoard. If we had other animals in the scene too, maybe birds lit upon his body or deer and foxes and stuff laying around the bottom of the base of the gold hoard or something. I think that would make it a very different image than what we normally encounter with dragons. I like that. Let's just go with that. But now I gotta figure out, how do I want to draw? How do I want to draw a hideous wingless dragon? I'm gonna start with my gray pens. Just do some random sketching. Hideous wingless dragon. Oh! Sapphire Serenity Solstice, thank you for following! Yay! Hello! Thanks for joining me! Wow, I'm so happy! First stream of the year, new follower. Thank you! So, specifically wingless dragons. That's so interesting. So I feel like, to me, a wingless dragon is just kind of like a snake with legs. Snake with legs. So Maybe it's just like a lizard, but a really long one. Like a really super long body. Long body lizard. Oh yeah, I'm already liking this. It's supposed to be hideous, though. How do you make something hideous? It's hard. Well, it's just a basic sketch to start. Hideous. 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 I don't know. That's the hardest part. Maybe if it has like bug eyes. Ah! Because he is taken by the dragon sickness. Well, not dragon sickness, gold sickness. The curse of the ring. Andavari or something, I think it was called. It's looking more like a heraldry dragon, but that's okay. Hideous. Hideous! It's a hideous dragon. Is there some different different meaning of the word hideous? Oh, Wolf, hello! Thank you for resubscribing! How are you? I'm so glad to see you. Happy New Year! 18 months! Thank you so much! That's awesome! I'll look up the word hideous to see if it can give me some ideas. Just ugly or disgusting. Horribly ugly or disgusting. Also says frightful, so that could be meaning just scary. How about the etymology of the word? That often helps me. I'm going to pull my camera down closer so you can see the sketch better. Offensive to the senses and especially to sight. Exceedingly ugly. Morally offensive. How about etymology? Alliteration, no, not alliteration. Alteration of Middle English hideous from Anglo-French hideous, hisdos from Old French hide, terror. Okay, good. I'm glad I looked this up. The origin of the word is more like frightful than ugly. Okay. That helps me. That helps me a lot more to make a hideous dragon, to make a frightful dragon. Maybe I'll make note of that. Hideous equals Old French frightful or something. Terror? I don't remember what it said. Terror. Terror. Yeah, I like that better. That fits better with a dragon to me. It's wingless. Wingless and terrible. On the hoard of gold with the cursed ring in among it. Although, when I was reading the legend of Sigurd and Gudrun, so often it said stuff like, oh, you will be rewarded with rings, or the warriors were showered with rings, or whatever. It almost sound like rings were a sort of currency. Like, maybe, I haven't looked into it, but maybe rings were a way of distributing gold, kind of like coins. But in a way you could wear it on your hand so that it's not as easy for someone to steal it. That is just complete conjecture, though. I don't have any proof that that's the case. Terror. But we could have little birdies and stuff just hanging out. And like a little foxy. I love this idea. Makes it different. Different than what we normally see. Maybe like a deer. We can also draw him sleeping. He could be sleeping on the horde instead of just looking up at some random thing. Also, I've got to figure out, maybe I should look up some, let's look up long lizards. We have some cool long lizards. Oh, this one. What the heck is this one? Oh my god, it's so cute. Look at this. Long-tailed grass lizard. Look at the tail is so long. What? Asian grass lizard. I need like a Wikipedia for that. List of largest extant lizards from Wikipedia. No, I want to find out more about the long-tailed grass lizard. Look, it's so cute. Southeast Asia. Oh, I can't believe it has like a tail that's like 4 times as long as the rest of the body. That's amazing. It's so long. I like this list of largest extant lizards, though. Let's look at that. Komodo dragon, of course. Does it tell you where they come from? Asian water monitor, crocodile monitor, Nile monitor. I feel like if I were to choose a lizard, it should come from Europe, because that's where this legend comes from. Probably not that many big ones can live up there because it's so cold. Blue iguana. Let's see. Largest lizard in Europe. The ocellated lizard. Over 60 centimeters long. Search that one. Oh, it is so cute. It's very cute. It's supposed to be hideous, but oh, look at it. That's very cute. Look at it stretching up. It's freaking doing the downward dog pose or whatever. Sun salutation, doing yoga. Oh, I might have to do this one. I mean, it would be terrifying if this was huge. This, super cute, same cute appearance, but instead of 60, what did it say, 60 centimeters or something? How about 60 feet long? 60 meters long, absolutely gigantic. Southwestern Europe. That's not quite the area we're looking for, but the dwarf can turn into whatever he wants when he's turning into a dragon. So, oh, this is a cool picture too from Wikipedia. Actually, I love this. Swirling back and forth. That's such great motion. Maybe I'll actually stick with that. And then I could draw the little animals all on his back. And like tucked into his tail and stuff. And they're all sitting on the gold hoard. Oh, yay. I love doing that. Yeah, this isn't anywhere near, though. So this is from the Norse. It's more like Spain. Blast it! So I'm pretty sure what we're looking for is around this area. Maybe here, but more, definitely more like around here, but it's from down here. How about, okay, what is the word for, how about I'll just look for lizards in, what is it called? Norse is the old stuff. What is it called today? No, it's like, well, I guess they're called Nordic countries. But it's not called like Norseland. There is a word for, it's kind of like Scandinavia, but that's a very specific, smaller part. Wait, I have a, hold it. I have the perfect book for looking this up. Where is it? Where is this book? Aha! This is why I love having physical books in my library for reference. Wolfax, Nordic. Yeah, maybe I should do Nordic. There's Little Book of Scandi Living. And where was it? It's described it right at the beginning. What the difference was, here we go. What is Scandinavia? It says Scandinavia is a geographical definition based on the Scandinavian peninsula and includes Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, even though it's not really on the peninsula, but not Finland, even though it borders Sweden and Norway. Confused yet? Yeah, this is the very beginning of this book. I remember it very well. Most Scandinavians would include Finland when talking about Scandinavia, though Finns don't always include themselves in Scandinavia. This sometimes causes awkward situations where nobody wants to ask, so we stare at the ground and wonder what else to talk about. Then we remember that as long as Finland loves ice hockey, saunas, and Eurovision as much as the rest of us, then we're all friends. But officially, Finland is Nordic, not Scandinavian. If you talk about Nordic countries as a cultural union and the Nordic Council, a geopolitical interparliamentary forum for cooperation between the Nordic countries formed in 1952 to promote cooperation between the main Nordic countries, then it is made up of Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Iceland, the Faroe Islands, and Greenland, and the, I can't pronounce this, but Åland Islands. It's an A with a circle on the top. Åland Islands. Here we're all united. Whether you call us Scandinavian or Nordic, we're all friends, and in one way or another, we're united. This book is about Scandinavia, though, and focuses on Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. Okay. Wolf is right. Nordic. It's Nordic, so I gotta search Nordic. Nordic lizards. I need some Nordic lizards. This is why even a little illustration like this takes so long. It's not enough. It's not enough for me to just pick any old lizard. It's got to be meaningful. Okay, Nordic lizards. We'll see if there are any because it's so far north. Oh, there are some. Oh, cute. One is actually called a worm, so that might be appropriate. This says it includes the sand lizard, the slow worm, the common lizard, and the viviparous. Oh my goodness, viviparous lizard. Let's see. List of amphibians and reptiles in Norway. This works. Reptiles. Oh, here's the little snake. Is this a turtle? This looks like a turtle. Oh yeah, oh it's so cute. This is not what I'm looking for, but look at this cute turtle. His head is so blunt. Okay. Well, there's not very many. At least in Norway. This is just Norway, but... Bjorn. So they only have snakes. Oh! Oh, wow. This is one of the few lizards who gives birth to live offspring. Zootoca vivipara. Norwegian name is Nordfjorfisle. I can't pronounce Nordic languages though at all. Oh, this one's cool. Well, I'd probably think any lizard is cool, but look at this picture on Wikipedia. This is also a great reference image. Look at how cool this lizard is. And again, imagine it 60 feet or even 60 meters. That'd definitely be terrifying. Oh, cool. Lives farther north than any other species of non-marine reptile. Oh. Oh, and that's why it has its name. Okay, I'll just read this. I'm going to read this blurb to you. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly either, but here it goes. The viviparous lizard, or common lizard, Zootoca vivipara, formerly Lacerta vivipara, is a Eurasian lizard. It lives farther north than any other species of non-marine reptile, and is named for the fact that it is viviparous, meaning it gives birth to live young, although they will sometimes lay eggs normally. Both Zootoca and vivipara mean live birth in Latinized Greek and Latin, respectively. Oh, interesting. They really wanted to... The people who named this lizard really wanted to drive the point home. It was called Lacerta vivipara until the genus Lacerta was split into 9 genera in 2007 by Arnold Arribas and Carranza. Oh, wow. The range is huge. From east to west, across Eurasia. Wow. Awesome. Further north than any other land-dwelling reptile. This is perfect then. Because it's covering all of the... You can't see it very well, but it's covering all of the Nordic countries. Oops, I pressed the button. I was just trying to point. It's covering them all, so... Yeah, let's use this one. Let's see if there's any more pictures. Oh, apparently they have lots of different colors. But this says for the female one, and we're doing a male one because this is a son of Hreidmar. Okay. I'm just looking around for more photos. Oh, here's another one. Oh, this is a female one, though. But here's another picture of them. Yeah, this makes for a good wingless dragon. Any other pictures? Oh, here's a nice picture of the feet. Front foot. And then the back foot. Sweet. Thanks, whoever put these in here. Awesome. Okay. Well, maybe I can just cycle through all the pictures if I go... Haha, I can. Sweet. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay. So, to start, I will just use this picture. Let's draw this picture some. I think that could make a good... I'm going to use a bigger pen. Could be a good final pose. Let's just start so the tail is curling down off of this leaf and around, and then becomes the main part of the body. And from those photos I was looking at, it seems like the female of this lizard get a lot wider in the middle part of the body, which makes sense because if they give live birth, then they gotta have room for all the babies. So the male one is just kind of skinny the whole way. Back leg sticking out like this, going back, and then the back toes super long. We took care of a couple iguanas when I was a kid, so I still have really vivid memories, first-hand memories of what lizard arms and feet can look like. This is actually quite a beautiful animal. Let's see, where does the mouth? Line for the mouth is lower than expected. And here's the little nostril. Yeah, this arm you can't really see. You can see a sort of indication of the elbow, but the rest is covered by the body. And the S shape is great. It's so active. Just makes for really interesting illustration because it's more energetic than some other pose. Oh, it's break time. Let us take a break. Although it only says I've been streaming for 42 minutes, but that's because I had some technical difficulties at the beginning and had to restart. So it is in real time, in clock time, break time. So I am going to put my be right back sign on. And I encourage everyone else to take the opportunity to get up, stretch, get a snack, look around. Whatever you need, I will be back in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great break. I got myself a nice, yummy shake going with my chia seeds and juice and greens powder. I'm all energized now. Ready for more drawing. I'm going to draw the head more detailed. Let's do a close-up of the head now. So I really do like this lizard. I think it's a great model for our hideous wingless dragon. Now that we know that the word hideous originates from a word meaning terror. And it's interesting, I think, now I'm thinking about it, we do actually have that retained, because say you think someone's curtains in their house are hideous, you could also say that they're terrible. You think they're terrible. So that even comes through in other English words, that origin. So interesting. I love looking that stuff up. Not just to help me make a decision with illustration, but just for pure joy of knowledge. It's so fun to look the etymology of words up. So I've made the lower jaw a little bit too thick. Let's make it thinner. It goes pretty straight back into the neck. Some lizards have a bigger jaw that sticks out, and snakes and stuff too, but this one seems to just go straight back into the neck without any bigger or smaller. Or at least it's not very noticeable if it is. I think this is its ear hole. They don't have ear flaps like us. It looks like an indentation here. Can't tell exactly where the mouth ends. It looks like it's at least past the eye. Got really big scales along the mouth, but around the eye, some really teeny tiny scales. One, two, three, four, and then the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the nose. Little smaller ones around the eye. Making up this ridge above the eye. This part's so smooth you can't even really tell where the scales are exactly. So smooth on the top. Probably also because of the angle, the way the light is hitting, because this here is the side of the face. We're looking directly at that, but then the top is bouncing off at an angle. If that makes sense. The particles of light are bouncing off, not directly at us. The particles of light meaning the things that make us be able to see a thing. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. Anyway, it's not as clear because it's not this part, but this part. We don't have to have these. be perfect in the final illustration, but it is good to bring in some of that realism, some of that naturalism, because I think it just makes magical creatures look even better when they have some basis on an actual existing creature. So there's matching scales on the bottom jaw. And the patterning too also makes it a little bit tough to see what is just a pattern and what is an actual indentation because it's a new scale. But these scales on the head make it really easy to tell what is the difference between the head and the neck, because when you get to the neck, it's this. It's just these little teeny tiny scales in a scaly pattern that you would expect. I'm not going to draw the whole neck of scales, but then it's like that for the rest of the body. They look like little beads, little jewels going all the way down. The scales are different on the arms, on the limbs, the arms and legs. So the head, arms, and legs, at least in this picture, you can see the scales are bigger. So let's draw this leg. It's the front leg. It's actually quite cute because it's so round. There's no hard elbow like, say, like on a human or a dog. It's just really round, smoothie, softy. I wonder what these eat. Hold on. I'm just curious. What do these animals eat? Bugs? Or lizards? That seems likely. Oh, look. This lizard is also unique, as it is exclusively carnivorous, eating only flies, spiders, and insects. Well, flies are insects, but whatever. Huh. This is an interesting fact that follows that. Studies show that the more carnivorous an individual is, the more insects they eat, the less diverse the population of parasitic helminths that infest the lizards. What the heck is a helminth? Oh, it's a parasitic worm. Well, why not just put parasitic worm instead of parasitic helminth? That's like saying a parasitic worm. Nah, there's probably some detailed difference. Ah, so it doesn't have as many worms. Interesting. Okay. I just wanted to know what do you eat? You eat bugs. You eat bugs as expected. Okay, back to drawing this adorable roundy leg. The little hand is just like a little boop, like this. And then we've got the fingers coming out with a lovely little claw. There's 5 fingers. And the middle one seems the longest, maybe as long as the ring finger. And then the index finger seems just a tad bit longer than the pinky finger, but the thumb, the equivalent of the thumb, is definitely the shortest. Which makes sense because it's on the inside by the body, so it might get tangled up if it was really long. Okay, little claws on each of them. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 segments here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's hard to tell on this ring finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maybe. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ah, and they're not all evenly sized. 2 scales up on, so it's the middle finger on this lizard's hand. 2 scales up is a lot longer than all the other segments. So that's interesting. So it's 2, 4, 6, no wait, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The index finger has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 segments. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And then the thumb only appears to have 4. 1, 2, 3. And the fourth one is really hard to see because of the angle. So covered up mostly by the hand. Okay, so this is the hand part. This actually needs to be a little bit sharper angle. And got these big flat scales on the top of the hand. And again, they're really hard to differentiate in certain places because of the patterning. The pattern does not follow the scales. Like this scale will have a blotch here, but then this one has one, and also the one next to it has one, so it looks like it carries over. And okay, so what I'm seeing going up the arm is really big scales on the inside. I'm not drawing these precisely at all. This is just the gist of it. Big, huge scales here. Big, huge, flat scales. But then they start becoming smaller and also more beady. They look like little round gems like on the rest of the body, but bigger. So that on this edge of the arm, it looks bumpy actually, even though on the inside edge, it looks smooth. And they get smaller as they come down toward the wrist too. So it's about at the elbow where these smaller, rounder scales start. And it's like from the elbow down to the wrist on the outside of the arm. Then we're back to these big flat scales for the upper arm. And then they slowly become smaller and rounder as they join up with the main body. That's the front leg. Now this photo I've been drawing from, the back leg is rather blurry. It doesn't look too bad on the camera, on the live stream camera, but if you compare it to the detail you can see in the face, it's quite blurry. So actually I'm going to come back out and go to those other photos someone had taken. Yes, someone took this photo of a front foot, and then this is the back foot. So let's draw a back foot. Examine what that looks like. So we don't have to make this look exactly like this lizard, but visually taking account of all of these details will help with imagining the dragon. Okay. Well, it doesn't seem to have quite as many big scales, at least from this angle. The reference I'm looking at now is clearly from behind. So if the lizard was here and the head was here and the tail was here, it's like being taken from this angle. So maybe there are bigger scales on the front side because this arm that we just drew is viewed from the front side. But let's try. So So this leg, you can see the back of the knee, like a human actually, that line that happens on the back of the knee. It's so super cool. Okay. So it's like a little calf, a little lizard calf. And then the foot comes out and up. And it's super long. This one also has 5 fingers. Super long. Which makes sense to me. In my experience, lizards have longer back toes. Which is weird because that's the opposite to us. If our hands are our front feet, we have long front toes, which is kind of weird. And we have really short back toes. It's the opposite of a lizard. Okay. This is the middle toe. And second toe. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So this is the equivalent of the. So this is the index toe, and this is the equivalent of the big toe. In this particular photo, this lizard is standing on a rock, so that's why this is sticking up, and then the pinky toe is actually sticking way down. I'm just gonna have to draw it on top of our other arm, sticking way down here because they are standing on a little pebble. Their fingers are draping down or sitting up on top. Okay, so here we've got those big scales again on the top of the foot, just like the front foot. And then we've got scales on the top of the toes. And actually, seeing it from this angle, it's a lot like bird toes, bird talons. I'm not counting these ones because the image is blurry on some and it's hard to tell. So just let it be. It's fine. No one's gonna go and count my segments on my dragon toes. Okay, we've got those smaller bead-like scales here. And here as well. Really small right here, like the ankle. But then they don't really stop being the bead-like ones, but they go bigger. They get bigger, and it's more like this kind of pattern. That sort of traditional scale pattern that you think of when you think of a scale pattern. But here we've got those bigger ones showing on the top of the leg, the knee, I don't have to draw every single one. They're a lot smaller though on the back of the leg. There's the back of the leg and they're just tiny. Maybe the fact it's in shadow is also making them seem smaller, but they look really small. They also seem smaller here on the side of the leg. But there it is. Okay. I'm going to take a swig of my green shake. Yummy! When I was on break, I was like, I'm so hungry, but I don't have time. I was looking at my pears in my fruit basket. But then I remembered, it takes 5 minutes to wash and slice it up anyway, and then another 5 minutes to eat it. Then I remembered, oh yeah, I designed this juice shake so that I could make it in 2 minutes and it would be done. Okay. Well, should I look for more references? Because it just has that one clear image. Plus those foot pictures. There are some other images, but they're not really helpful for what I'm trying to do. So I wonder if I should look for more or get back to drawing more thumbnail sketch type stuff. Yeah, let's just get back to the thumbnail sketching. I think that's a good idea. Well, I've filled up. I mean, there's a little bit of space here and there, but let's just move on to the next spread. I'm really happy with these drawings. I think they turned out nice. Let's go. Let's go, let's go. Okay. So for thumbnails, I'm going to just draw a few really rough rectangle shapes about the right ratio, maybe, for my 4x6 drawing that I will eventually be making. There's 8 to start with. That's probably enough to start with. So let's see what we can think up here. So we could have this pile of gold, and it's coming out, going beyond the borders of the image. And then we've got Fafnir here laying on top of it. Oh, and I've always loved that look. Sometimes illustrators I've seen doing a dragon on a gold hoard. Put the tail on top of the dragon. So we could just have Fafnir sort of pretzeling it up in the middle of the image. But I still like that idea of like having birds roosting on his back. He may be cursed, but he still understands animal language and therefore can communicate with them, and maybe they have some alliance or something. So we'll put like little people sleeping inside of his curls because he's all toasty and warm since he's a dragon. That doesn't make the greatest use of this space though. There's a lot of empty space at the top and bottom. We could do something a little more close up. We could just have his head here resting, coming out of the frame. Maybe you could have his arm here. You could see a little bit more of his body. Maybe his tail comes back in the frame and down and out, and he's resting on his own tail. Then you could see the gold here in these points. Kind of like that. I feel like that would be more interesting. And we could still have the birds roosting on him. There, the one is just like sitting right on the top of his head. That would be really cute. This story that he comes from is full of betrayal and vengeance, violence, death. It's just pure misery, this whole story. Everybody is miserable. So it makes me even more entertained to think of the idea of taking a character from this dark story and having something so cute as say like a wild pheasant resting on his head or something. I have little crows here or something like that. Okay, let's keep going though. Let's make lots of ideas. That's what thumbnails are about. Could go real super close, just on his head. Bring it way in. So he's like sleeping. I imagine him sleeping. I don't know why. We're showing a brief moment of peace. Even though he's cursed by this gold. And he's ended up killing his own father. It's so horrible. After his brother was killed, which is the whole thing that brought this curse upon them and everything. But we could go super close in and have a little bird on him. Little bird on him. And you could still see like the hoard of golden rings in the background. Maybe we could have one of his feet coming in too, so that it's not just his head. And maybe have his tail too, just like in that one. Although that kind of looks like he's biting his own tail. That's a different mythological or something thing. It's not what we're going for here. Still, we've got to try. Got to try all the different ideas. Well, he doesn't have to be laying down. He could be sitting up. So say we pull back out to the pile of gold. But let's try to fill the space better. So he's sitting up. And he's sitting on his gold, and his tail's wrapped around it, and he's coming down like that. Yeah. Maybe he's talking to a bird friend. No, the bird is not on him. The bird is talking to him. And then maybe there's some more birds down here. Oh, I like that. It shows his whole body. Has that nice active swirl. Have another idea along those lines. An uppy one. Portrait one. But we're looking straight down. So we can get that serpentine shape. But it's because he's sleeping on his hoard. And we're looking, we've got the bird's eye view, so it's the view of the birds that he can communicate with. It's got that cool S shape. It's a very decorative shape. How about this image? But in this format and close up. Something like this. We'll have birds on top of his head. But also the bird that he's talking to. It's flying in. I don't really show his gold hoard though, unless we want to show that the hoard is so big that it's just filling up the background. Mountains and mountains of gold. It is a legendary treasure hoard. Like the whole story as I read it, the J.R.R. Tolkien version, everybody was after this gold. Maybe partially because it was cursed by the Andvari's ring or whatever it was. Okay, I can't remember. It's like Andvari's ring or Anyway. Partially because it's cursed. Maybe that's why everybody wants it, but I think it's also just like a huge treasure hoard and everybody wants treasure. If we do it even closer. I haven't done anything that really said, yes, do this. This is the way. Doesn't mean I won't pick one of these. But it does mean I feel like there's more room for experimenting with different ideas. I really like the idea of two birds sitting on his head. That's a close-in version. And I have to remember, this is just going to be in black and white. So I'm not going to be able... I have to use line and not color to show this golden hoard. The Embracer. His name comes from, or means, the embracer, so this is laid on the gold hoard. Now we've got the pile of gold and he's laid on it. And he's looking back. My idea here is that he's like so happy to be like, I am injecting stuff that's not in this story at all. Nobody is happy in this story. But he is so happy to be on his gold pile. He's lifting his head because he's like cuddling with his gold. That's the idea that I'm going for with this one. So the embracer, I figured that probably meant he's embracing the gold. So we've got his tail all curly, super happy curly tail. I don't know if lizards curl their tail out of happiness, but we can say that dragons do. We can also add embellishments to this dragon as well. It doesn't have to be completely based on the lizard. We could add sharp, scary teeth or spikes. You know, there's all kinds of cool stuff. We could add like fringe coming off. That's not what we're working on here, though. I'm trying to find a nice composition. This idea I like, but it just doesn't really... Feels like I need to change something to make it work in the format. So maybe if I go in closer. For now, I'm giving him anime happy eyes. I don't know if I'll do that in the final illustration. For now, he's getting the anime happy eyes. Gold's coming up. He's got his arm here on it and a leg. want a marker so that I can, let's see, do I have a gray marker just available right here? That would be awesome if I did. It doesn't look like I do. I want something to help me visualize the contrast between the gold horde and the dragon. It's obviously going to be the dragon is the darker one, and the gold horde will be the brighter one. Let's see. But I don't want to use a color because that would be distracting to me. I just realized that I did not put a marker to say that I've done Fafnir, or that I am doing Fafnir. Let me do that real quick. I've been putting a tab in to mark the entries that I've done. In case I forget. I just remembered that when I saw those tabs. I was looking for a marker though. There's no marker in here. I'm gonna have to get yet another item to fill my drawing kit even further. Let's see. Alcohol markers. Oops. Knocked my little camera. Pull the big camera up. So I've got my bin of all kinds of markers I've gotten, mostly from Art Snacks over the years, but other sort of blind box subscriptions. Let's see, maybe one of these. Oh, one of these would be good. I have so many different colors. It's got, well, what? This isn't water, right? ABT, alcohol based. Perfect. Let me see. I don't want it to be black. Oh, that's like the perfect color. Is there a darker one? Should I test a darker one? I kind of feel like I should just keep these out because these would be great for not just this kind of illustration where it's black on white. Testing out contrast could be good for testing out contrast. And other sketches too. I don't have room for this in my sketch kit though. I don't know where I'm going to put them. But testing in your thumbnail sketches the contrast between elements is something that I actually learned in my illustration classes. So I don't always do it. In fact, I rarely do it. But today, it really feels like a useful thing to help me. Okay. Oh, what time is it? Oh, we still got plenty of time. We still got 10 minutes. So this is what I wanted to do. I'll bring the main camera back down. Well, sorry, all this time I've had this little camera available and it's not pointing or doing anything useful. There. So I'm going to take the darkest of these ABT markers. It's the Tombow ABT Pro line. And what I want to do is fill in Fafnir to help me visualize what the contrast will look like. Since this is a black and white drawing, that's my strongest tool, is contrast for the illustration. Because the details are fun to look at once you get up close, but the contrast is what makes the original, the first impact, makes the first impression. So this way, when you fill it in, you can see what do the negative spaces look like, or how much negative space is there compared to positive space. And And what's the placement like? All that kind of stuff you can tell. Fill it in. So yeah, this one, at least the way I've drawn it, it's got so much empty space at the top. Plus, even if I were to move Fafnir up so that the tail isn't becoming a tangent here at the bottom, and there's not this bar of negative space, still feels a little perfectly contained in here, almost as if Fafnir purposefully curled himself so that it would fit, you know, he's posing for his photo or something. That's not what I'm trying to, it's not the effect I'm looking for. Here, we have a lot of negative space. The gold hoard takes up a huge amount of space. We do have clear silhouettes, though. And it does seem to be telling a story. We might not know exactly what that story is, but I do feel like the idea of communication happening between Fafnir and this bird is really strong. And here's this pulled out version of this one, pulled out farther back. The birds on his head make him look like a rabbit, though. He's a rabbit dragon. This top-down one is really cool, but it doesn't feel like capturing a moment in a story. It feels more like one of those illuminated letters in an old manuscript or something. These not post. It drives me crazy. These caps don't post. It's been a long time since I've had to complain about that. Wish that they would post so that I don't have to hold this cap in my hand the whole time. Oh well. Let's continue looking at the contrast of the compositions I've done so far. Some people literally just do their thumbnail sketches with a marker like this or a really big brush on a digital platform. This one is more attractive to me doing it now that I've applied the marker and can see the contrast. I don't think that the contrast will make me like this one more, the first one I did, but let's just see. And there's this one. Out of everything I've done so far, I actually quite like this one. Okay, give me a moment. I just want to look. Look at what I've got here. I definitely, out of all of these, prefer ones where we're zoomed in and we don't have Fafnir's entire body in. I'm preferring the ones like this one here. The only one that is sort of an exception to the rule is this one on the left, the top left. But even then, I've got the tail sort of cut off at the bottom. But these, where his body is perfectly framed, or all the way within the frame anyway, they just don't feel as strong for telling a story. I'm going to try drawing this one, but in a landscape version. And maybe pulled out just a little bit, so we can have a little bit more of his body showing. Maybe we'll have the tail coming up and over. Like I liked in this one, but I did not do in any other. Have it curl down too. From up and over. Love having the brush tips for this too. They are great for quickly filling in, but being able to fill in precisely if you have a smaller area. I don't really like the tail being on top. I also think I like it better when his head is really big. We'll do a really big detail version. I suppose I should also keep in mind that this is the Maginaturalist sketchbook, so it's supposed to be something the Maginaturalist spotted. Which is an interesting idea because Fafnir was supposedly killed like centuries ago, according to the legend. But hey, he's a dwarf. He can do whatever he wants, I guess. Come back to life? Be reborn? Who knows? Just a couple minutes left. I have not settled on anything yet, but I think that's good because I can have a sleep on it, come back to it tomorrow, and see what I think. Now I'm going to try this one in landscape format. He feels a little cramped doing it this way. And I really like this. I guess it would be a psychic line that's created by having a couple birds standing here-ish. I wouldn't put them so close to the border if I choose this one. But connecting them with this bird flying. If we put these birds here, then we could even have a triangle going on with the eyes of Fafnir, the eyes of this bird, and the eyes of the birds down here, creating a triangle. Well, we are past time. So let's call that good for the first art stream of 2025. Hooray! And what a great day it was. We had new follower, Wolfax resubscribed. And we got a bunch of thumbnails. What is this? 12 thumbnails done and some sketches of the real animal that we're going to base Fafnir on. And it's so exciting. I'm still super excited that I just finished reading the story with Fafnir in it, and then the next entry in the Maginaturalist sketchbook is Fafnir. It is too perfect. Okay, but let's call it good for today. Let's see if anyone is streaming who I can drop y'all off with. Do a little raid, maybe? Who's going? Who's going right now? Oh, a few people. Well, as usual, when I have multiple people, I like to raid whoever has the fewest viewers. So let's go check out Yasmin Arts. The title says working on some art, so that seems perfect. The picture right now, the little preview, is like an owl with a scarf on, so that looks pretty cute. So let's go raid Yasmin Arts. I'm going to move my sketchbook up and put the tertiary camera so that the thumbnails are still visible. So I'm going to pull my keyboard out. I guess the big camera doesn't have to be so close on the keyboard. It's not important. So let's see. Go to a new instance of Twitch so that I can make sure the raid actually works. /raid Yasmin Arts. I think I spelled it correctly. Looks like it. Okay. And I need to say my farewells now because I didn't realize that I was getting cut off because there's a lag from when I actually speak here in my studio to when it's delivered to you. So I am going to hit this raid button and we are going to head over to Yasmin Arts. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you can come tomorrow too. I will be back at my usual time with some more of this Fafnir illustration. But until then, let's raid! All right, the raid worked. So if you are still on my channel right now, or if you're watching the recording, as I said, that's it for me today. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Thank you for watching.